Welcome to the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Interviews, a series we created to give even more exposure to startups from the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Network. Today I'm here with Stefan Reidi of Arviem. Arviem offers real-time end-to-end cargo tracking and monitoring services for the shipping industry. So welcome Stefan. How are you? Good to see you.
Grüezi. We say grüezi in Switzerland. Hello, I'm fine.
Grüezi. So I guess I understand that from what you said, you are in Switzerland. And so you already burned my first question. Where are you based? Which is great. Fantastic. So we are ahead of us. So tell us something about you, Arviem, your role in the company, how it was born, this kind of stuff.
That's a lot of questions at once. I don't know if I remember all these questions. I started many years ago. I've been working for IBM many years. Yep. And after 9/11, the US government was afraid that the next attack is not going to be by an airplane, but by a bomb in a container. Yep. That container coming into Long Beach, exploding, and the whole infrastructure would be down.
Yeah.
And therefore, the US government, they started to impose new regulations for cargo monitoring. So 100% screening of containers and monitoring and CT pad and all these kind of things started at that time. And we at IBM, we also started to look into solutions. I've been leading that initiative at that time at IBM. And then in 2007, for different reasons, IBM stopped the whole initiative. I think the whole industry somehow lost the interest in preventing these kind of terroristic attack based on cargoes, etc. But I thought this is an interesting kind of solution or market. And together with 4 friends, in 2008, we then founded Arviem with the intention to provide services to the market in monitoring cargo.
Okay.
And to answer your second question, yep. I'm still the CEO of the company. So I'm running this show here. At the moment, we're just over 30 people, globally distributed, headquartered in Switzerland, to be precise, in Bar, that's close to Zurich.
Okay, so a great pedigree, I would say, from like historical pedigree from IBM that then you developed into a company that is Arviem with your 2 co-founders. 2 co-founders, right?
Well, actually 3. The 4 of us. We were.
4, yeah. And now you're focusing exclusively on shipping. I understand, right?
Well,
and you always focus on shipping.
What we're saying is we're providing we have a core service. And that core service is monitoring cargo end-to-end, independent of the mode of transport. Of course, our first interest was and still is in monitoring containers because that's the biggest volume. But we're also doing air freight, we're also doing truck, we're doing any mode of transport, and we're doing that end-to-end. So okay. Our shippers, our clients are the shippers, the cargo owners. So like... well, I'm probably not allowed to mention client names here, but it's the client who produces the product and ships the products. So we're not working with logistics companies. We're not working with carriers. We try to bring in the visibility end to end, independent of any stakeholders involved. So regardless of ports, port operator, logistics companies, carriers, whatever, we're not working with them. We provide an independent overview end to end.
Okay, and how is this delivered? I guess there is some hardware, right?
There is, yeah. Basically, we have 3 components that we combine.
Yeah.
We have a hardware. Yeah, I call that the sensing component, and that sensing component is at the edge of the network. How I call it, there where the cargo actually is.
Yeah.
So let's take the container. We know exactly where the container is at any time. We know the conditions there, the temperature, the humidity, whatever. And based on that data, we get from the sensing component, we have another component that I call the analytics component. That's our software. So we take the data from the edge of the network into our software. We combine it with other data sources there. And based on business rules, we then generate alerts, notifications, reports. So we provide actionable information to our clients.
Yeah.
There are other companies, they try to do that just based on a software level, so connecting different data pods with each other.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you can never be sure what's really happening out there, because then you're depending on others in the supply chain. And again, if you think there are around 40 stakeholders involved in a shipment from A to B,
Yeah.
and now you multiply that by routes that one single client has, and you multiply that by the amount of clients and by the amount of shipments. So you have many, many dots that you need to connect.
Yeah.
And if you always trust these guys out there, then you cannot really be sure that you know exactly what's happening. And that's why we're saying we need our sensing component, because only then you're able to collect neutral, independent data at the edge of the network. And only then you know what's happening exactly out there. And then you can start combining and adding all the data sources to it. So if I know exactly where my container is, I can link it to the vessel tracking. So then I see, okay, yes, it has really been loaded on that ship, and I can now follow that ship. But if I don't know if it has really been loaded and I follow that ship, I don't know. The data is probably not as accurate as it should be.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, absolutely.
So we combine these two. So we have the sensing component, we have the analytics component.
Yeah.
And because we offer this as a service, our clients, they don't have to buy hardware, they don't have to buy the software. Because we offer this as a service globally, we have also the third component, which I call the operations component. So we make sure that our client receives the right amount of devices in, for example, Chile, or in Saudi Arabia, or in China. And when the shipment is over, we make sure that this device is collected again and sent to the next client at the next destination. So our clients, they don't have to worry about devices and technology and reverse logistics and whatever. And they don't have to worry about setting up the infrastructure, the software, making sure that the right people receive the right alerts and notifications. We do everything for them globally.
Yeah.
And these three components, that's the service package we offer.
Okay, very, very interesting. Because you're offering a mixed service that is part hardware and part part like analytics, but you're offering it as a service. Even if it's a box, it is offered as a service. And for the customer, there's no like hard part to play with. They just buy the service, they get the data, they get the information, and you take care of everything from A to B.
Correct.
To Z,
yes.
whatever. Got it.
I would call it, instead of like, everybody knows SaaS, software as a service.
Yep.
And I replace software with supply chain. So it's still kind of a SaaS service, but not software as a service. It's supply chain as a service that we're offering.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. And so how is it going? I think that you are now 13 years old as a company, or you started 13 years ago. How is it going now? I guess you're past the the startup phase.
Well, look, I think if you lose the startup phase or the startup spirit, then I wouldn't be in this company anymore. I like it the way we work, and I like to keep, of course, the startup spirit. But yes, for sure, the bigger you get, the more processes you need to have in place. It's a different way of doing proposal, sending out proposals or invoicing. All that, of course, changes the bigger you get and the more process you need to have in place. But the spirit among the team should still be the same. I want to keep that startup spirit, and I want to keep, you see it in the office here. No, you don't see it, but our office is open. When somebody talks over there, they hear what I'm saying, etc. This interaction, that's what I still support. And therefore, also this situation right now with the lockdowns, for example, that's not good for this kind of business. Startup business needs the interaction of the team. And if the team is at home, you don't have this interaction anymore. It's not the same when we talk now video. Of course, that's improving the situation to many years before, but it's not the same. We're not sitting together. You're not constantly on a video chat. Huh? You're not constantly listening what the other guys, what kind of problems they have and what kind of joy they have, etc. And that's important. That's really important in such an environment.
Yes.
But that was not your question.
No, but that's fine. I really like where it leads us, because it goes some way against what many startups said, because many startups are pure digital, and they are showing that being purely digital is an advantage in this era and in these days, because you can be dislocated. But what you are bringing to the table now is very interesting, because it's not just about the technological side of, yeah, we are able to be everywhere and we can do the same work anyway. You're bringing the human perspective of being a team of people who work together, and this is absolutely very interesting, and it is a crucial factor for the success of a startup. And if a company, grown-up company, like a scale-up company like yours, can preserve this attitude of working together like a startup, it is definitely an incredible added value, an incredible boost to the success of the company. So this, you see, this makes me very enthusiastic, because I've been working on this stuff for long, and try to convince company, look, you have to work like startups, and startups work because they are all in the same room. All the people are in the same room, exactly what you were describing. So, well,
it's not just startup. I think if you want to be innovative, then innovation is just coming from your brain here, from people sitting together. It can't be done by one person only. I'm fully convinced about that as well. Maybe sometimes you have some genius that have a sparkling idea, but at the end, to have a continuous innovation, you need to have people sitting good together, thinking together, joking together, having fun together, crying together, whatever. And only then these ideas develop over time. And that's, you need to be together. You need to be physically together.
Yeah. Well, fortunately now things are easing off or down. So we start to get together again in the offices. Probably we will be allowed soon.
So we stop this interview now, and then you're coming to bar, and we continue here.
Well, I'm very happy if you invite me. I'm very happy to come.
Anytime.
Okay. But before I come, can I ask you another, just two quick questions?
One or two?
Two. We've been going a bit long with this interview. I would like to ask you, so how is going with customers? I guess it's going great, or even better. How's it going?
Well, it's not as great as I would like to have it, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. I mean, especially now also with this COVID, Corona lockdown situation, companies started to realize again, or let me start a little bit different. Supply chains, logistics processes are sometimes 300, 400 years old. Huh?
Yeah.
Paper-based, bill of lading, etc. This is all old stuff. And nobody has really paid attention, I think, in the last years to improve logistics processes, supply chain processes.
Yeah.
So now you have old processes and a changing world around here, globalization happening, etc. And this system is very rigid. Huh? If an interruption happens, the whole thing breaks apart.
Yeah.
And that's something that is happening right now. So you suddenly see COVID happening, pandemic situation, lockdowns, etc. Everybody thought China is going to be the source of all our goods forever, huh? And suddenly this breaks apart and you cannot deliver. You have clients where you should deliver, or you don't have the revenue anymore. So the whole system basically breaks apart. And it's not just the supply chain manager or the logistics manager who is looking at that. It's also the CFO who is looking at that. Huh?
Yeah.
And this topic becomes now, goes a level up, becomes a board matter. So managing the supply chain, sourcing, do we source now from one location only, or do we source from many different ones? Because if something happens here, I can still source from over there.
Yeah.
Now suddenly I don't have one source where I have to manage the supply chain from, but I have 4 or 5 sources where I have to manage the supply chain from. And if I don't have, here I'm coming to the conclusion, if I don't have visibility in what's happening, where are things coming from? What is the risk profile of that? Can I trust this guy? Can I trust the logistics company in between? Is it here on time? Is the product correctly here, etc.? If I don't have that visibility, I cannot properly manage my company, and I cannot properly manage the prosperity of my company. So from that perspective, we see a higher demand for what we are offering, and we see a great future ahead of us.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying I'm kind of happy. But the problem, of course, we're also suffering from the current situation. Huh? If our clients, if a port shuts down because the port labor is sent home and containers are just staying in the port, we cannot invoice our monitoring service. We're not making revenue. If the factory shuts down from one of our clients and they don't ship anything out anymore, we cannot invoice our service, and we don't get the revenue in. So we're also suffering, but midterm, we see even more demand for our service.
Okay, fantastic. So, well, I think that the important part is getting past of the bad times, getting over and catching up, because then the industry is really willing to take these kind of services, because it realized that it can't be just taken by any bad situation like this. And well, if we have time, I don't know if you, because we really run over time, I don't know, how are you doing?
I have time for you all day.
That's fantastic.
When you call, then
everything stops.
Everything else.
I'm worse than Corona. Well, worse for business. So, well, my last question, it's not curiosity, but I tend to ask to all startups or scale-ups, how are you doing with funding? Are you growing? Are you fundraising? Are you in fundraise mode? Something that you can tell if there is any investor listening that might be interested to consider like this great company.
Yes, we're at the moment in the process of raising money. Maybe a little bit additional information to that. So I just explained before our core service. We're monitoring. Based on this monitoring, we're collecting a lot of data, and that data can now be used for additional services on top. So what we're doing, what we have started to do already, is we're financing cargo for our clients. So when for example, there's a client in China shipping something to US at the moment, he puts our sensing component on the cargo. We buy the cargo from him. So we finance everything. That's one of the services we now add on top. Or another service is everything around risk management. Again, we have data. We have better data than any insurance company has, anybody else. So we can create risk profiles. We can create dynamic risk profiles. We can create static risk profiles. And based on the risk profiles, we can also offer risk mitigation plans. We can offer insurance on demand. So additional kind of disruptive services on top. Having said so, the more data, the better data you have, the better the disrupting services on top can be. The better the services on top are, the more clients you can win, and the more clients you have, the more data you have, and the better the service becomes. So it's kind of a snowball effect. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. I always say a little bit naively, we want to become the Google of trade. A lot of people joining our network, giving us basically the data, and based on the data, we can offer better services and grow even faster.
Okay, so basically this stuff really requires a lot of funding, right?
Yeah, we think we need something between 10, 20 million. So we're going to do this most likely. That's our investment strategy we're working out at the moment. We're probably doing that in 2 steps. We go for a smaller amount right now, and then the bigger amount probably towards in the next 12 months then again. So 5 million probably right now, 15 million in the second part.
Okay, that's very interesting. And do you have any specific like profile of investors that you're looking for? Some investor that is already acquainted with the industry, or it doesn't matter? What's the request?
Well, we're looking at this together, of course, with our advisors. I'm not doing that myself. I'm not too experienced in that, so I can do everything else, not investment. But we're looking at, of course, probably like everybody else, we're looking at 2 types. One is, let's say, corporations, so companies who probably are close to what we're doing and eventually need our service for themselves as well. And then traditional VC. And of course, you also have a huge list of VCs where they say, look, everything below 50 million is not good enough for us, forget about. Or VCs which say everything above 10 million is not good enough or is already too big and we cannot do that. So you have to find the right partner for that.
Segment.
And
That's
of course. The process we're in at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. That's very interesting. And definitely, I mean, you're going to make it because the trajectory is really interesting. Thank you for all this time. It's been really a long interview. Maybe behind the scenes we had also some troubles, but no one will notice.
No one will notice, yes. And maybe we can make a series out of it. Huh? Maybe
exactly. We spoke for so long behind the scenes that it is a series, not just one interview.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, really,
in
Stefan,
10 years, we will have thousands of series.
Yeah, exactly. No, seriously, it's difficult because it's been really a fun interview, really great talking with you, and great knowing how you're progressing. And I hope this might be tiny bit helpful also to give more exposure to potential clients and potential investors. So fingers crossed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stefan.
Well, thanks to you. The pleasure was all on my side. I really loved that. Okay. And anytime again, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.